Hello and welcome back to Middle-Aged Man Gleans Life Lessons from Taking Piano Lessons at age 35. Here's what happened. We're going through the stuff. My teacher and I, we're playing stuff. I'm making progress. I'm doing some Polonaise action. Things are happening. I'm doing okay. I'm proud of myself. Okay. Then my teacher puts this sheet of paper in front of me and asks me, do I recognize it? Do I recognize the sheet music? And I look at it and it says, Presto con fuoco. To me, sounds like a delicious pasta dish. No, I do not know what this is. I don't recognize the music. She says that we're going to try working through it. So we're going to try playing it. So this is how it sort of began. We started out by just going like literally this kind of speed. And so forth. It's awkward, it's difficult, and it's just plodding along miserably. She says, do you recognize it? And I say, no, there's nothing to recognize yet. I mean, it's so slow that I can't recognize it whatsoever. So we try it again. Okay. At about the fourth or fifth time through, I turn to her and I say, wait just a minute. Is this Ballad No. 1 in G minor by Chopin? She said, yes, it is. And you might know that, if you're not a musician, you might know that as the ballad that was kind of modern day popularized in The Pianist with Adrian Brody, and that's the big mega magnum opus piece he plays in front of the soldier. It's an incredibly difficult piece. It's not one that I would ever in a million years have chosen or elected to play. She knew this. Maybe I'll cheat a little bit and you could recognize it if I just do one hand real quick. So my piano teacher asks me, hey, if I would have come here and placed a sheet of paper that said Ballad No. 1 in G minor by Chopin, what would you have done? And I would have said, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, no chance, because I would have known that this part of the piece was coming. Because the piece starts off rather slow. It's actually pretty easy, but I know that it's building to this stuff. She says then, well, now you know that you can play the hardest part of the whole piece, right? Even slow, even miserably slow. But you know there's promise there. It's going somewhere. You're going to be able to do it. I started you at the hardest part of the piece. Now there's no excuse to not do it. All the other parts shouldn't be as difficult as this one. So why was I so scared of the piece then? There's a lot of lessons packed up in there. One, it's nice to have an expert look down on you and say, I know what you're scared of, but I know your ability is better than you do. Let me show you how to get more out of yourself than you thought was possible. And number two, I think it just removes the component of fear. I was just confused by something unrecognizable, so I didn't recognize it at all. So sure, I'll give it a shot, whatever. I have no reason to be afraid of it. This is really a big coaching moment for whether you're trying to get a child to try something that they're afraid of doing, whether you're trying to get an employee to stretch a skill that they might be intimidated by. Whatever the case, yourself even, whatever the case may be, I don't want to say that tricking someone is necessarily the answer, but possibly obscuring the difficulty of a task by starting you in the hardest part of it in a safe environment, in a guided environment, and then having the realization that you've actually completed the hardest part. And now everything else should be, relatively speaking, simple. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, and I still haven't quite unraveled it for myself, but there is certainly a big takeaway in starting someone in the middle of something that they're afraid of and then having them realize it's not so bad. So if you'll excuse me though, I clearly have a lot more practicing to do here as middle-aged man in his basement pub tries to derive life lessons from the piano. Goodbye, everybody.